So I'm Gaetan Feige. I work for Hechtman Ventures, which is basically a company which is trying to foster innovation and technology into the market, and in particular for the multi-dwelling units, the developments that are, long being requested in many places in the world for a lot of use cases where we want to change the way Wi-Fi deployments are happening inside buildings and communitize the Wi-Fi deployments for everyone in the building instead of everyone having single subscriptions. There are a lot of benefits to those types of architectures. So I've been working in the Wi-Fi space for many years. I've been involved with WGC, I think, since 2012 in many topics. At the beginning, it was Passpoint, then it was some open roaming work, and now working on the MDU environments. So multi-dwelling units are shared environments where a property manager wants to offer a unique experience for tenants inside a residence, a building. Those can go from regular tenants to student housings, to community housing, and many other types of environments with different types of people in different categories, social lives, and so on. Therefore, the usage that will happen out of such an MDU environment are important and vary a lot, as well as property managers in today's world need to make sure the building is managed correctly. So the introduction of Internet of Things, Internet sensors are, increasing for things like water leaks, electricity management, HVAC, surveillance, alarm systems, and so on. In many new buildings, I've seen this in many countries as well. People don't have their own keys anymore, but there are digital door locks that are the same in every apartment. So from the construction of a building or through renovations, all of those usage need to be taken care of. And therefore, we're not talking now of ISP subscription for an individual subscriber who will just have to manage his own devices, which up to today were mostly internet access devices like smartphone, tablets, computers. But we all know that every single device of our life is now being connected. So the scale of devices and the usage that you'll have within a multi-dwelling unit environment is much bigger than what you have on individual ISP subscriptions. Therefore, it's really important to get convergence on how you deploy those environments, how you scale those environments, and how you manage them. And the manageability aspect is where the convergence is the most important, because a property manager needs to have visibility on many devices inside the environment. Like today, in a tenant environment, you may have a connected refrigerator, a connected oven. You're going to have the HVAC or the heating systems. And those, even though they're in someone's apartment, they're part of the overall building management system. So from a manageability perspective, they need to be accessed both by the tenant and the property manager. And therefore, convergence on how those devices are deployed, what technology they use, is really important, because otherwise, with the scale of devices that are going to be coming on, it's going to become a real conundrum. So that's why convergence at scale is really important in those environments. So it's an interesting question. PropTech has always existed in the sense that property managers have always had a few things to manage within the building environment. But the arrival of IoT and many sensors for different vertical use cases is considerably increasing the amount of technology that is being inserted in buildings. And as I said, when we're talking about convergence at scale, PropTech is creating a completely new management management segment in terms of how you manage buildings and how you can optimize buildings, in particular, considering the fact that we need to be careful on the, transition of our world today and the climate changes. And we need to be careful on how we use energy, make savings on that, all of those aspects. So therefore, the arrival of all those digital technologies inside the building is a considerable market increase that many people want to benefit from. The property managers want to be able to create new services that they will be able to include as part of your rent inside a building, as part of your tenancy lease. ISPs also want to have some grasp on that. And in reality, there's going to be some form of competition because we see many ISP subscriptions which are now trying to sell you as part of your subscriptions, video surveillance systems, other type of sensing devices for temperatures and so on. And it's the same battle as what was happening before between ISPs and over-the-top providers like Google, Apple, Amazon. Now, the property management entities also want a piece of in that game, in the pie. So it's becoming a game between the ISPs, the over-the-top players, the property managers, the IoT device vendors, which in some way are over the top, but they're only for their own solution. So how do you converge all of that together is really the challenge. And basically, what we call property tech and IoT are increasing the market, and everyone wants to have a piece of it. So it's transforming the industry, and right now, everyone's trying to figure out where to position themselves. So property managers, ISPs, over-the-top players, and that's still in the process of being transformed. So the way sensors have been deployed until today is very simple. It's you have a sensor somewhere, and the data from that sensor, you can access it in the cloud of the provider, of the vendor who sold you that sensor. That makes it very difficult to aggregate sensor data into a single system where you can start automating actions. When the temperature comes below a certain level, you want to turn on the heating system. When you have a water leak, you want to automatically close the water arrival of that location. All of those automations are almost impossible to do when the systems are uncoordinated. So the first, I'd say, technology which is transforming this landscape is the CSA, the Connected Standard Alliance, which is coming up with the Matter technology, which is basically aggregating many IoT devices into a single control plane. So IoT devices will now be connected to what we call a Matter controller. That Matter controller is allowing automation and actions for standardized features of those IoT devices. But the problem in the industry is that many IoT devices are not going to be migrating soon enough, or maybe never, to the Matter standard. Therefore, there will still be many other sensors that you will want to integrate into your automation environment. So, as I said, Matter is really the most key technology that we will be seeing. But on top of that, some of the standards that are important, like USP, which is an evolution of TR69, which was used in the past to manage CPEs by a lot of ISPs. USP is also now going to be used to manage still CPEs, but also we could think of using it for managing cloud environments, or for transferring data or passing orders from different environments to others. So in a standard way for coordinating environments which are not coordinated by themselves. So I would say that the two most transforming technologies would be Matter and USP. So we slightly talked about that in one of the previous questions, but clearly there's a competition that's going to happen between property managers and service providers. The big transformation game with MDUs is that individual tenants in the building will not have each individually their own ISP subscription. So already from that perspective, ISPs are going to be losing in some way individual subscriptions on behalf of a common subscription, at least for the internet access capacity to a building. So they're going to be, having still the same capacity that way they will be selling, but they'll be selling it to a property manager to an entire building instead of subdividing it and selling to individual subscribers. Then the property manager wants to unify the experience within the building. Many new buildings that are coming out of ground, so you of course have your own apartment, but you may have common rooms, you may have restrooms, you may have restrooms for resting, like with a pool or a gym, and many of those areas. If you have your own individual ISP subscription in your apartment, when you go to the gym, you don't have internet access anymore from your subscription. So the property managers want to unify the experience. So for them, they want to include as part of your rent, as part of your lease, a number of services. Some of them will be a base service, part of the rent, and others could be value-added services. So they also want to surf on the value-added services to try and make more money as part of the building management and operations. And that's where basically property managers and ISPs will have to compete on those type of services. Who's going to deliver them? Now, it's really important also to understand roles and responsibilities. Property managers will not necessarily have the technical skills to be able to manage all of the solutions. So it's also going to be a transitioning for ISPs to move from what they're doing today to managing maybe the same elements, but in a different framework, which could be having the property manager in the game as well. So the property manager is not going to remove the ISP skills in what he's going to be offering, but he's going to be using those ISP skills in a different way, which means that the ISPs will have to transform their business offers, not to individual subscribers, but to property managers, but still to address at the end devices that will be used by individual subscribers. So we're talking about technology evolution. I think we need to be realistic. Standards and market changes don't happen in 1 year, in 2 years. It takes a long time. With Hechtman Ventures, we identified that this is an interesting trend happening in the industry. We are, through WBA, trying to act on it and try to have the necessary technical changes in standards happen so that there's a better coordination between all the different services that people want to put together. And also at the same time work on the technical side, but work on the operational side and business side for that. Through WBA, we want to lead those evolutions, coordinate the technical changes with other standard bodies like CSA, Broadband Forum, IETF, as just some examples, and try to make it such that by end of 2026, we could have already some trials with better coordinated MDU environments where Matter will be playing a role, USP will be playing a role, and also very importantly, where a number of IoT devices will be provisioned with open roaming credentials, which WBA is pushing in order to have a coherent initial MDU deployments trials by end of 2026. I don't believe that until 2027 we will have mature technologies, but we will be going through trials, deployments that will help us get there in the coming years.